Hey, y'all, it's me. Back again, your boy Izzy J, ready to spill the tea about HIV. Y'all got y'all glasses of tea ready for me? I have mine in my happy birthday mug. I want to give a special happy birthday shout out to my sister-in-law, Tiffany, whose birthday is actually on the 2nd of November. I just want to say to you, you are an angel. I've said it before. You've been in my life my whole entire life, and you've always been more than just a sister-in-law to me. You've been a sister, and I love you, and I hope that you are having fun in Jamaica. And I also want to send a happy birthday shout out to her sister, my in-law, Tamara. Tamara has not only been a friend, um, she's been a supporter, and baby, she helped me through math. So happy birthday, Tamara. I hope you and Tiffany are having fun on your birthday getaway. I think Sawana and my other sister Sawana went to her birthday was October the 7th. So happy birthday to her as well. I hope you guys are having fun out there in the Bahamas. I wish I could be with you because Lord knows I need a break. But today on this episode of Spilling the Tea about HIV, we are going to be talking about HIV and dealing with the symptoms that come along with it. We're not just going to be talking about the symptoms, but and it's not going to be so much personal today. It's going to be a little bit more informative as well. I don't know why I feel like I'm looking down. Oh, there we go. Get a better position. But it's going to be more informative today and a little bit of personal because I like to throw my own personal experiences in when I'm talking about these things so you guys can get a better visual. But as always, I would love for you guys to comment and share this video, and let's start a conversation. Let's start a conversation about HIV. Let's start a conversation about not being so scared to talk about the things that we are going through in our life, because there is always somebody who's going through the same thing. um, I have to honestly say before we dive into everything, um, a friend of mine referred a person to my videos, which that was a thank you. I'm gonna call that friend out, Brittany, Brittany Taylor. That's BRINTT. Why? That Brittany Taylor. Um, she referred a friend of hers to watch my videos, and me and him have been talking, and he's been really a good rock, and I'm gonna be a rock from him. I see a long lasting friendship building there because our stories are so similar. And hopefully one day I can get him online with us and we can all have a conversation because his story is it really touched me here. He had me crying, but whew, y'all know I'm emotional, so let me go back. Let me go back. Rewind. Whew. But so let's go ahead and talk about a few things. Today we're talking about HIV, dealing with the symptoms that come along with HIV, and how important it is to listen to your body when dealing with any type of infection, virus, or illness, because the symptoms can tell you a lot about what's going on. Just a little bit of background for my story. Uh, I started noticing symptoms of HIV myself. My first few symptoms was a headache, a very bad sinus buildup. I was also would experience fevers, night chills, night sweats, chills, muscle aches, body aches. Um, but the most alarming symptoms for me was not only the headache and sinus, but the fever, the chills, and the night sweats. You guys, when I say for 3 months, for almost 2 months, I'm not going to say three, but for almost 2 months, I experienced the worst fevers, chills, and night sweats every single night, along with the headache, along with the sinus infection. And it was the worst thing ever. But I blew these symptoms off for good reason. I was trying to get myself clean. The last video we talked about my struggle with addiction to not only powder cocaine but also the crack cocaine as well. Um, we talked about my addiction, and me using controlled substances of many forms and many types, and we just I thought I was going through a detox. Anybody who's dealt with addiction can tell you that going through detoxing is not fun. During this point in my life, I had gotten into some legal troubles, not only behind drugs, but just also behind being a smart ass and just trying to be bad. But I got into some trouble, was put on probation, so I was trying to get myself clean during that time. And so I thought I was detoxing. And anybody who's ever dealt with addiction can tell you, detoxing can feel like you are going through the worst motions. You might get a fever, but chills and night sweats are surely to come. The headaches are surely to come. The insomnia is surely to come, and that's all dealing with addiction, especially when you're detoxing. But these symptoms were the first symptoms that I had when discovering that I was actually HIV positive. I just want to read you guys something from the website, and I'll put the website www.aids.gov. I'll put that website in here so you guys can go through and read some of those things. But just to get right into it, there are 3 stages of HIV. And the stage we're focusing on today is the early stage because, and we're going to talk about a little bit about the clinical latency stage as well, and my experience with that. But we're focusing on the early stage of HIV because to me, it's probably the most important because this stage gets overlooked. Excuse me, I was getting a little thirsty. This stage gets overlooked so many different times by numerous of people because these symptoms that we're gonna discuss could be anything. So, as we talked about last time, what is HIV? HIV is a virus that attacks the immune system. Just like any virus, it comes with symptoms and to let you know that something is attacking your immune system. In the early stage of HIV, and this is coming from the website www.aids.gov, but in the early stages of HIV, some people may experience a flu-like illness within 2 to 4 weeks after the initial HIV infection. But some people may not feel sick during this stage at all. That statement basically says that if you were exposed to HIV on the 1st of October, come the 1st of November, you may or may not experience a flu-like illness. These flu-like symptoms can include fever, chills, rash, night sweats, muscle aches, sore throat, fatigue, swollen lymph nodes, and mouth ulcers. These symptoms can last anywhere from a few days to several weeks. And during this time, HIV infection may not show up on an HIV test, but people who have it are highly infectious and can spread the infection to others. So let's stop right there. And this video probably won't be long today, probably about 30 minutes at the most. Most of my videos are about an hour, but it won't be long today. Now, you notice those symptoms that I talked about, having a fever, chill, rash, night sweats, muscle aches, sore throats, fatigue, swollen lymph nodes, and mouth ulcers. Some of those symptoms could be something else. Could be pneumonia, could be tuberculosis, could be a staph infection. It could be the stomach flu. There are a few other symptoms that are not on here, but they talk about those symptoms in the late stage. That means you're progressing towards the AIDS part of HIV. But we're not going to talk about that today because that's hitting too close to home for me right now. I'm not saying that I am progressing, but I'm not saying that I'm not progressing. But there are a lot of people who still live and go and fall back into the HIV state coming from AIDS. So just fingers crossed for me on that. Um, but as I was saying, these symptoms could have been anything. They could have been pneumonia. They could have been tuberculosis. They could have been a staph infection. They could have just been you having the flu. So I don't want anyone freaking out right now saying I just experienced all of these symptoms. I don't know what I'm gonna do, y'all. I might be HIV positive. Well, guess what? If you haven't been exposed to the infection, or if you think you have been exposed to the infection and you are experiencing these symptoms, the only way that you could really know if you are positive is to go get tested. Getting tested is so important. Why is getting tested is so important? Well, think of your body like a car. Think of your body like a car. Every year you got to go get an inspection. You got to renew that inspection. I need to know that my body is A-OK, that everything is working properly and the way that it should. And getting tested for all STDs is a part of that test. Just like your car get a diagnostic, your body gets a diagnostic as well. You know, a lot of times people don't want to run to the hospital when they just have these symptoms. When these symptoms last longer than they should, yeah, you might want to get to a hospital to find out what's going on. I wish I would have got to a hospital sooner. Then I wouldn't have found myself in a hospital bed 3 days clinging on to dear life. But that's, like I say, that's a whole nother video in itself. Well, and I might touch on that this video as well. But in talking about the symptoms of HIV one more time, you may experience fever, chills, rash, night sweats, muscle aches, sore throats, fatigue, swollen lymph nodes, and mouth ulcers. Now, did I experience all of these symptoms? No. The ones that I did not experience during my first 2 to 4 weeks after I was initially exposed, I experienced the fever, I experienced chills, night sweats, fatigue, and swollen lymph nodes. I did not have any mouth ulcers. I did not have a rash. I did not have a sore throat. But as I've always said, these symptoms can vary from person to person. But you have to listen to your body. Anytime you are feeling weak, anytime you are feeling sick, it is important that you listen to your body. I think the early stage of HIV is the most important stage because these symptoms, a lot of infected people may blow off. Because these symptoms will go away within a few days to a couple of weeks. Just like a common cold will come and go. Just like the flu will come and go. But if it's lasting longer than a couple of weeks, for me, I was in this state for 8 weeks. I should have went to the doctor, but I didn't. Because, as I said in the previous video, I was too scared to find out if I was positive or not. Because finding out that I was positive would have been me having to face the reality that I was raped by a person who was known to be positive. I said it before, I'll say it again. I knew I was positive, weeks after, days after I was actually raped by this guy. I just don't like talking about it, y'all. Give me a minute. I'm sorry. But I knew something was wrong. He was a known positive person. And when it happened, I just knew. I was just like, oh Lord, I know. And when I started to experience the first symptoms, I didn't go get tested. I took a home test. I took an oral quick test. It came back negative, so I convinced myself that I was okay. but I was still experiencing all of these symptoms relating to HIV, and I knew it. I knew it. We know when something is up. We know when something is going wrong with our body, and I knew something was going on. I knew that it was more than likely HIV. I had been in the healthcare field at this point in time. Ooh, some mosquito. Uh, I had been in the healthcare field at this point in time for almost about 5 years, 4 or 5 years at this time. Uh, Being taught about HIV and the symptoms and what to look for, it was nothing new to me. I had pretty much self-diagnosed myself only after 2 weeks. It wasn't until my lymph node, it was on the right side of my neck in the back. That lymph node that sits, I don't know if you guys can, I'm going to turn my head a little bit, but there's a lymph node that sits right here on the right side. You have one on either side. You have a lymph node here, here. You also have nodes here, here, under your armpits, your groin area. And your lymph nodes play a very important role in your immune system. Um, that's where the white blood cells attack and filter out any foreign infections or particles that shouldn't be in your blood, that shouldn't be in your body. So that's the areas where they attack. The lymph node that was right there on the right side, it just wouldn't go down. So I knew at this point, this lymph node could only mean one or two things. Either I had pneumonia or I was HIV positive. Depending on what nodes are swollen can tell you a lot. If your nodes are swollen here, you might have some type of streptococcus. You may be experiencing a sore throat or a very bad cough that your lymph nodes are swollen here. Groin area, you may be experiencing something like HPV or an injury to the groin area. Something is happening down there. It's under your armpits as well. You can tell so much about what's going on with your body just by the lymph nodes. But as I stated earlier, the only way to truly know if you are HIV positive is to go get tested. So I highly recommend, if you feel that you've been exposed to the virus, go and get tested at least two weeks to 30 days after your exposure. Now, there is a period called seroconversion. And during that period, it's usually about a 2 week period in which the antibody of any infection becomes seeable within a blood test. So within 30 days, if you feel that you've been exposed to the HIV infection, you wait about 2 weeks to 30 days, and then go get tested. If that first test comes back negative, go back in about another 3 months. Go back in about another 3 months and take another test. If that test comes back negative, I'll say you're in the clear. But you might want to, but I always say get 2 tests done. If I would have gotten the second test done after I took that home test, then maybe I would have caught the HIV a little bit earlier. You know? Maybe things could be playing out different right now. But I didn't. So it's really important for you to go get tested if you feel that this is what's going on with you. The white folk. The white folk just be rolling out or down over here playing golf. That's a beautiful day for them. Oh, it's a black man over there, y'all. Oh, Tiger Woods. And he's not carrying the bag. He's not the caddy. Come on, black man playing golf. Yes. But I had to cheer myself up a little bit because I was talking about all of this, and I started thinking about the whole incident and but anyways, back to talking about how important it is to get tested. It's important. These symptoms are important. You don't want to blow these symptoms off. You don't want to not recognize these symptoms because you may be HIV positive, you may not. But how are you going to know unless you go get a test? You know, and if you are at a high risk of being exposed to HIV and you are experiencing these symptoms, high risk meaning if you engage in activity such as unprotected sex, if you engage in man-to-man sex, that means you're in a homosexual relationship, you sleep with men who sleep with other men, um, if you are using drugs and sharing needles, you want to keep yourself and you want to keep yourself together, and you want to make sure you get tested when things like that happen. HIV can be transmitted so many ways: blood transfusions, sharing needles, unprotected sex, uh, pregnancy when a mother is breastfeeding her child. HIV can be transferred so many different ways. So it's so important that if you are HIV positive, that you get tested, get the treatment, so you won't continue to spread the virus. Every time I see a butterfly, you guys, it distracts me. Butterflies, when a butterfly is floating in my area, it makes me feel like the universe is with me right now. But because a butterfly signifies something, taking something so small and to what some might consider ugly and disgusting, but that so small thing takes time and it turns and flourishes into something so beautiful. Um, just like what I'm going through now. I think that what I'm going through now is a butterfly effect. You know, right now what I'm going through is dark, it's scary. But in me doing this and me informing you all and me telling you my story, I'm helping someone. Someone is being helped right now just by watching this video. Someone knows that they are not alone in this struggle just by watching these videos and listening to me talk about these things. Somebody, like I said last time, somebody is always going through something. If your worst fear is that your car isn't big enough, that your house isn't big enough, that you don't have enough money, then you worrying about the wrong thing, sweetheart. Because there are people going through things like that every single day. And some of them are facing even bigger problems. So, and I'm sorry I had to get serious for a minute, but that butterfly just came around, it flew around, then it came around and flew, then it sat on here at the table behind the computer for a minute, then it left. You know, so that meant something to me. But all in all, you want to listen to your body. Anytime your body is weak, you want to listen to it. If you feel fatigued, if you feel tired, rest. Don't overwork yourself. If there's any moment you experience a fever, chills, night sweats, sore throat, swollen lymph node, mouth ulcers, muscle aches, or even a rash, don't ignore that. That's your body's way of telling you that something is wrong. I ignored those symptoms. Something was wrong with me, and I ignored those symptoms. And I regret that till this day, because if I had been brave enough to just go and see a doctor, an HIV test is free, y'all. Y'all don't have to pay for an HIV test. There are several places within every community in every area that will give you a free HIV test. And then they will give you a care package to take home with you. That care package got condoms and lubes in it. And sometimes they be having little candies and treats in it. So there is no excuse for you not to take an HIV test when you feel that you need one. You have the ability to be comfortable within your own home and take an HIV test now. Or quick. You can go pick that up for $30. I know it's expensive, but it's worth it. You can go pick that up for $30 at your local Walgreens, CVS, or Walmart. And they have other tests other than Quick. It's so many different tests over there. You know. So it's worth it. It's worth taking the test. Listen to your body, people. Listen to your body. It's going to tell you a lot. Like I said, this video wasn't going to be long today because we were just talking about the early stages of HIV and how important it is to listen to your body and listen to the symptoms that your body is telling you. And just to recap, the early stages of HIV, 2 weeks to 30 days or 2 to 4 weeks after the initial HIV infection or you have been exposed to HIV, you may experience flu-like symptoms. Some people may not experience any symptoms at all. These flu-like symptoms can include fever, chills, rash, night sweats, muscle ache, sore throat, fatigue, swollen lymph nodes, and mouth ulcers. So you guys, listening to your body is important. It's important with any infection because, as I said previously, those symptoms could have been anything. You could be walking around here with pneumonia. You could be walking around with tuberculosis. You could be walking around with another type of virus. You could be walking around here with Ebola. Y'all remember Ebola, don't you? This bird flu, a swine flu. What was that other big thing? SARS. You can be walking around here, girl. You could be walking around here with SARS. Catch that tea. Girl, you could be walking around here with SARS. I'm just saying, these symptoms can be so many different things. But if you feel that you've been exposed to HIV and you are experiencing these symptoms, it's worth it. Go get tested. I promise you, it could either be the best decision that you made or the worst decision that you made. Why would it be the worst decision that you could make? It could be the worst decision because you could find out that you are actually sick. Why? And you are actually HIV positive. Why could it be the best decision you've ever made? Because you can find out that you are HIV positive. That means you can go and get treated for it. You know, just before we wrap up, getting treated is so important. And we're going to go ahead and talk about the clinical latency stage of HIV because during that stage, that's when you have no symptoms at all. And this could last for decades. And you may not even know that you are living with HIV and you're not on treatment. Every day you just get sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. Keep in mind, the clinical latency stage of HIV is the stage once HIV is detectable in your body, HIV becomes dormant, it just begins to multiply, it begins to copy your white blood cells, your body becomes HIV. During this stage, you may not experience any symptoms. HIV is still active, but it only reproduces at low levels. People with chronic HIV infection, like myself, may not have any HIV-related symptoms. If they do, they may only have mild ones, like myself. I have a chronic HIV infection right now. And I experience mild symptoms. I experience very mild symptoms. The symptoms that I experience, fatigue, lack of appetite, Oh, I am, child. When I say I get tired, I be tired. I be more than tired. I be ready to just fall out. I can't make it through 20 hours of working. I can't make it through a full day's work without getting tired. 8 hours is too long to me. Hell, 2 hours be too long to me. I get so tired and all I want to do is go to sleep. I find myself just nodding off sometimes, standing up in the kitchen. Mm, excuse me. This cough, it's a mild symptom of HIV. Am I on treatment? I am taking treatment, but if you watch the very, very first video of spilling the tea about HIV when I talk about my medications, you'll understand that right now my medicine isn't doing, it's only doing 50% of its job. And that 50% of the job is keeping me stable. So that's why I still take my medicine every day, and that's why I'm not going to stop treatment even if the medicine isn't working, because me taking the medicine is keeping me stable. The state that I'm in could last for a decade or longer. People who are on treatment can live happy and productive, full lives and not even die of HIV. They can die from natural causes. But it's so important, as I stated, to listen to your body and to know what's going on with yourself. You don't want to be in a position to where something happens and the doctor cannot fix what's happening. You don't want to be in that position. You don't want to be in a position to, you can't go back from it. There is no turning back, you know. Like I say, I would really love if the person that I've been speaking to would one day come online and share his story with me, because he went through all of this. His story was so powerful to me, it made me stand up just a little bit taller and be like, well, at least I didn't go through that. What he's going through right now is what he's going through right now, and what he went through. That's my worst fear. That's my biggest fear. Because I don't think I'm strong enough. I don't think I'm strong enough to endure what he went through. I struggle with addiction on a daily basis, you guys. Every single day. Every single day feels like a day I just want to get high. I'll be lying to you if I didn't say that and be honest. But what he's going through, and I keep pointing to my phone because that's how I talk to him, it lifts me up and say, you know what, Isaac, you can make it. You can make it one more day. You can make it one more day. If he can make it one more day, so can I. But hey, that's how it goes, people. Remember what I said. Listening to your body is important. Remember those symptoms that I mentioned, those flu-like symptoms. They can tell you a lot about what's going on with your body. If you feel that you have been exposed to HIV and you experience any of those symptoms, go and get tested. 2 to 4 weeks after your initial exposure to HIV infection, go and get tested. Because some people may not experience any symptoms. But if you are experiencing those symptoms and you know that you have been exposed to HIV, go and get tested. I promise you, it's going to be the best and the worst decision you ever made. But what happens with two negatives? Two negatives do what? Two negatives make a positive. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. As I've always said, love, peace, and chicken grease. I'm out of here.